Vijay Chattha is the founder and CEO of VSC PR, a strategic communications and public relations boutique firm, and Awareness Studio, a marketing consultancy and seed investment fund. Vijay holds degrees from both the University of Pennsylvania and the London School of Economics. After jumping into the startup space, Vijay quickly turned VSC into a top boutique player in the tech industry, representing equity positions in a number of companies that successfully exited for over $1 billion. The company's most major outcomes have come in the consumer internet mobile services, including AdMob, which was bought by Google for $750 million, and MoPub, which was bought by Twitter for $350 million. In 2013, he started a seed fund called Awareness IO that invests in early-stage companies that his firm then launches, which has made over 20 investments into companies whose products have already generated $120 million in direct-to-consumer revenue. Vijay is also co-creator of the Walk of Game, a first-ever video game landmark destination that has inducted the likes of Sonic, Mario, and Lara Croft into video game history. As a philanthropist, Vijay was involved in the first permanent SACC exhibition at the Smithsonian and has co-founded and is a chair of Project Ahisma, a global nonprofit that immerses at-risk urban youth in music education and provides support groups for kids. Vijay is also the lead singer of a Punjabi funk hip-hop band, Black Mahal, which tours all across North America. Named 40 Under 40 in 2015 by PR Week, ladies and gentlemen, Vijay Chattha.
I really want to thank you all for having me and my wife here today. I want to thank Sunny and Cam and the board and the volunteers of the SACC American Chamber of Commerce and the sponsors for what you've done for the community here. And I'm very honored to be part of it. So this year's topic is Dream Bigger. And Sunny and Cam asked me to sort of talk about my background. How did I get to where I am right now? By the way, it's the first time someone called me Chattha G, so that's another milestone. It's going into my bio tonight. But it's about a little bit of my background and also sort of what are the things that I think matter to sort of helping the next generation think about success and also about how to dream bigger. And so I thought a lot about this and I put this presentation just for this event together. I came up with this math equation, actually, and I'll explain that later. You're probably wondering what that means. This is where it all started, in a hospital in Pittsburgh. And I grew up in a town called Weirton, West Virginia. And I actually met somebody tonight who helped design the bridge in my town in 1965, which is amazing. When I grew up, there was 10,000 people that were employed by the steel industry. As I grew up there, that went down to 1,000. And so, as we all learn about what's happening in this country today, I was part of that. I was part of that Rust Belt community. My parents came over in the 60s. They were the neurologist and psychiatrist in Weirton. And I grew up in a family of a lot of love, a lot of support from my mom and dad and my sisters, who helped me quite a bit along the way. I was the baby of the family. And so it was a great life in Weirton. And one year, my parents got together with some of the other Indian doctors in town and said, you know what, we need to get our kids educated in the biggest possible way. So let's get a bus from West Virginia and let's take these kids to Pittsburgh. And it's an hour bus ride, and they did it. And in fact, there was a math test to get in, and one of the kids couldn't get in. And so my parents went to the school and said, you either take all of us or you take none of us. And if you don't take all of us, we're going to go to your rival school. So they took all of us. And so I went from a public school Indian kid in West Virginia to a private school where I didn't have the coolest clothes. I didn't know how to ski. I didn't even know where Vail was, like all these things people were talking about. I didn't have a polo shirt. I asked my mom for a polo shirt. She got me this shirt with like a horse on it, but it was a different kind of horse. I was like, Mom, you can't give me that shirt. That's like Hunt's Club, come on. And so I had to find some way to fit in. So I did it through humor. So humor was my first power. And I credit my sister, Sonia, for helping me craft wit. And anyone that knows my sister knows she's a nonstop laughter machine. So she helped me learn how to fit into a place I didn't know how to fit in, how to make friends, how to be part of things, and also when times are tough, how to find the laughter and everything. So then in high school, there was one Jewish kid on my bus of Indians. His name was Rob Alpert. And he became an honorary Indian after many years, of course. Probably an honorary Sikh as well. We got really into hip-hop music. So when you grew up in West Virginia, you either were into rock and country music, or you were into hip-hop. It was black and white back then. There was no Indian anything happening there. There's some old cassette tapes that my mom had with guzzles on it. But that wasn't something cool when you were 12 years old. So we really got into rap music. And we started a company. We got this band that Rob's dad had, which kind of looks like a sketchy band, I'll leave it at that. But it was free, and we made our money DJing bar mitzvahs and SACC parties, as you can see. And so that was the first touch of entrepreneurship. So then I went to college, and a lot of people go to college or think they're going to college for classrooms. They're places like studying like that, or studying in an amazing library, maybe paying your tuition for all the things that are in college, but that wasn't me. This was college for me. So I specialized in developing my EQ, which I'll talk about later. But for me, college was all about experiences. It was all about meeting people that were different than me, that had different ideas, and that was all we did, was really socialize and build that part. And my mom was very worried, what are you going to do with your life? I mean, you can't just be a party promoter. And she was probably right, but we created a party promotion company, so she was kind of right. And it was called Philly Tonight, and it was the first website for young people to find out what was happening in their city. Back then, there was nothing. This was '98. There was City Search, if anyone remembers that website. And so we started this nightlife. City guy, we raised money from investors. I would remember going to auntie and uncle's houses and asking for a $25K check. They wouldn't pick up the phone. I would do *67 so that you wouldn't even know who's calling. And they had to pick up the phone. I'm like, Auntie, I'm right outside. I'm right outside your driveway. And so we raised money for the company, expanded it to 14 cities. And then something happened, which was called 2011. And I'll come back to this, but it was the dot-com bust. So for all that work, and frankly, we didn't really know what we're doing half the time, but it kind of failed, and it kind of sucked. But we had a lot of learning from that, which brings me back to this, which is that for us, the MBA was starting a company. So I'm really thankful, in retrospect, that we spent time building something as a way to learn, instead of just learning for learning's sake. And it was a huge part of sort of where we've gotten to, myself and the people I work with. Now, and actually, back to this, one of the first checks we got was from Sukhinder Singh, who you guys have had at your previous events. And I believe my business partner went into a meeting with her at 7 in the morning, showed a couple PowerPoint slides. She was so busy that day, she just wrote a check on the spot and just walked away, which is really awesome. And then even when we were having tough times, we went out to work with her, and she connected us to so many people. So as we're talking about the power of the Sikh community and helping them their own, it's amazing. It's incredible, and it's changed my life. And that's what I'm trying to do now, is give back. So now on to this. So after our company imploded, there was a project to create an art gallery at the Smithsonian. So they needed someone to coordinate. They needed someone who could go out and be in an auntie and uncle's driveway and pick up a $25K check. They needed someone who could help promote things. So I became part of this group. And actually, they needed PR, which I didn't even really know what it was. So I actually looked it up on the internet. It wasn't even Google back then. So I Alta Visted how to write a press release and figured it out. And actually, we got a lot of publicity for this, which then ended in my former business partner saying, hey, I need PR for a tech startup. And he was in San Francisco. So I left DC. I moved in with my sister here. She let me borrow her minivan that she dropped her kids off in, and I could go to business meetings in that minivan. I met my wife in San Francisco. So everything changed for me when I moved to the West. I started this company. So again, first client was my friend Nahal, who's here. He said, I need PR. I said, okay, I think I kind of got to do that. Like, how do you charge for this? I think it's called a retainer. I'll give you a retainer and some stock. And so I was like, all right, let's do that. So basically what I found out was that almost every company needs more publicity. It's like money. You can never have enough publicity. So we ended up finding a lot of opportunity. And it was the beginning of the mobile technology era. It's 2002, it's 5 years before the iPhone. And we were the preeminent PR firm, marketing firm, for mobile startups. And that became a big thing for us. So my first client was my friend, and my second client was my wife. So she was an executive at Sony. And I must have done something right because she married me. But I got a nice start in my business with these two folks. So then, what did I learn from this? I think I learned that just doing one thing really well was really important for my life. I'd spent the first 25 years of my life being a jack of all trades and learning, but not really earning and not really becoming all that good at anything. So by focusing on something like PR, I thought I'd do it for a couple of years. I didn't think I was going to do it this long, but I realized that if you could actually just do one thing and focus on it, and it was valuable, you could actually build something. So I think this is sort of how I grew my business. I didn't have any training. I learned on the fly, and made a ton of mistakes. And because without any classical training, you just figure it out. But on the flip side, without classical training, you can be creative and do it however you want to do it and figure out the way to succeed based on results, not just process. So my goal was just to be valuable. If I could be valuable to someone in some industry, then I could figure out a career. I didn't know it was going to be PR. I didn't know what it was going to be. But I found that people were getting value out of my work here. So it was a nice niche. I don't even know there's that many South Asians in my business. I don't even know if there's any Sikhs in my business. And that's okay. Part of life is finding some areas where you can build something and then bring others into it. So this is what we built. I call it a band of strategists, storytellers, and data nerds that are obsessed with helping the Davids crush the sea of Goliaths through unfair amounts of publicity and awareness. So it's always been about helping the little guy for me. I never really want to work with big companies. I never work with people that are super famous already. There's something exciting about taking something from nothing to something, and that's what we do. So in 15 years, we've had a pretty decent run. These are all the companies that got acquired that we worked with. Some we got paid to do the work, some we invested in, some gave us equity, but we've had a lot of experience now. So 250 companies at least that I've gotten to work with our team, and it's been an incredible run. And actually, Ipsh is on there too, which is my buddy's company. So that was the first exit, and it led to so many other things. So beyond just the client's work, I think a lot of what I've learned now is culture and how important it was. We're the first company that we started. We hired fast, we fired fast. We're probably not great bosses. And so now with this business, it took a lot of time to figure out what motivates people. Why do they want to stay with you? Why do they want to work with you? My COO has been with me 10 years, which is amazing. I almost know her as long as I know my wife. And it's because we have a long-term relationship of building something together. And I think this is the part that is also important in growing a business in America. It's not just about making money, it's about how do you create a culture that people believe in. So I started a little seed fund a couple of years ago. We've already invested in 20 companies. So in addition to doing this PR and marketing stuff, now we've become investors and stakeholders in the companies we work with. And that's started. It's a long play, but definitely learning a lot and having fun with that. And now just kind of back to Cam's question and Sunny's question about dreams. How do you dream bigger? And what are those dreams? So beyond my family and business, I got involved in music as a young age. That's probably the first photo of me with something that looks like music. Because of, I told you my love for hip hop, and also my mom would always play classical Bollywood and Hindi songs, so I really got excited about that. So I created a hip hop group that infused Punjabi and Bollywood music into it called Black Mahal. I met this amazing man, Lal Singh Bhakti, who lives in Fremont, who's a dole master, and together we've been performing across the country and having a lot of fun doing it. Just really has been an important part of life is what do you do outside of business and family to keep your brain moving and to focus on creativity. So giving back, after 2011, certainly a big moment in history, and certainly for our community. One thing that we did is I got all my friends together that were not just Sikh, but Hindu, Muslim, Jain, and we started a nonprofit to raise money for victims of hate crimes. So we would put on these big music concerts, which is what we knew how to do, and we'd raise money for these programs. And then over time, we started shifting that model to raising money for young people to be empowered through music like we were. So these are some of the programs and events we've done around the world. We made an album that went #4 on iTunes. We had music from the kids in all of our programs. And it's been a 15-year project, which we just completed. We've done 80 grants, and it's gone to teacher salaries and music instruments. And now we're doing our final project, which is building a music center in India. And we're really excited for that. So if anyone ever wants to go out to check it out, please let me know. It's in Ahmedabad. So now back to sort of dreaming bigger. So I showed you guys this weird math equation, and I came up with thinking about this event. And I'll walk you through it now. So, you know, the way when I grew up, it was like all about IQ, right? Which is essentially the idea of reasoning. What I really realized is that success for me is about EQ. It's about the idea of reading people's signals and reacting and understanding that. This is important in my life. It's the X factor. We all have it. There's something unique that we have. It's our unique identifier. It's our barcode, if you will. Figure out what that is and find a way to embrace it. So these are all the other multiplier effects. So tribe. How big is your group of friends? How diverse are your friends? How about your family? How about your mentors? How about your mentees? To me, this whole path to where I am has just been about a collection of amazing humans that have been in my life that I've been able to connect with. Grit. I'm sure some of the other speakers will talk about this as well, but learning from failure, learning to stand back up, learning to keep striving is definitely probably the most valuable part of the journey. Respect. And I didn't really think about this when I was younger, but this is actually one of the most important things, because if you can honor your commitments, be honest, and give back, it means so much more than just success. And I've seen very successful people that don't have a lot of respect for others, and that's not how I want to live my life. And I think this is a key in terms of making it happen in the long run. And then, look, the most important thing is probably luck. You know, that's probably the most important part of success. And I'm aware that provided access and privilege and opportunity, so that I now want to give back to people through our programs and other things that don't have that kind of accessibility. And if you're not into math, I just kind of want to run through a quick group of things that I do. So one thing I'm really obsessed with is lists. I make a lot of lists. So people say, how do you dream bigger? So first thing I would say is, like, write your tombstone now. If you wrote your tombstone now, what would it say? There lies you who did what? Right? What is that thing you want to be known for? That's, for me, is that I don't even know what mine is yet, but I know that's what I want to figure out. Life plan. So after our first failed startup, I moved back in with my parents. My dad said, look, Vijay, I don't know what you're going to do, man. You're not going to be a doctor. It's too late for that. Probably not going to be a lawyer. You're definitely not an engineer. You don't know how to code, even though you have some math equations. So put it on paper. So I wrote a pretty long plan about different projects and interests I was into. I printed it out. He read it. He looked at it. I think he kind of laughed at some parts of it. And he basically closed it. He took off his glasses and he said, I don't know what half of this stuff means, or I don't even understand what you're saying in some parts, but I will support you. Because if this is what you want to do, then I've got your back. And that meant a lot to me. So I still have my life plan. And I actually have my team write their life plans. So this is really, it's a small thing, but it's been working. 5 people in your life can change your life forever. Who are those 5 people that you're going to keep around you? And can they help you push to the next level? Or are they going to keep you down, right, where you were? And so I think thinking about who is in your life, maybe outside of your family, but your peers, you're defined by who you're around. You're defined by your peers. And that's going to be what you said. Work hard, play hard, give back. Simple way of living. Superpower, we talked about it earlier. Find that one thing. I think if you're the top 1% of one thing, it's better than being the top 10% of 10 things. Outsource everything else. I think my wife hates me when I do this, but I really don't like to do a lot of other things, except for what's core to me. And I'm okay with it. I'm not guilty about it. I don't mow my lawn. I just don't do it, because It's not part of my life plan, right? So I outsource everything else, and I'm honest about it. Find a goal buddy. Okay, so this is Nahal Mehta right here in the front. He is a business partner, I worked with him, and we do a lot of projects together, a lot of the ones you've seen up here. And every year in January, we talk about our life, our goals. We read each other's goals to each other. We email them, and we make sure that we try to get them done together. And there's actually a lot of goals we never get done every year. They're always probably the same ones. But it's good to have a goal buddy, I think, and it keeps you honest. I have this little list I call it my daily happiness, because there's this big plan. How about just like the day? So for me, like I have like these interesting things like I want to watch, if I can watch a Steelers game on a Sunday, that's like a good day for me. You know, or if I get to drink a glass of wine with my wife, that's a great day. If I get to read to my daughters, that's a great day. And also, don't let other people define your happiness. I think a big part of Indian culture and Punjabi culture is expectations. It's the expectations that your parents or your family or others put on you to be a certain way, to grow up to do a certain thing. But that's not going to be your happiness. I've seen those people grow up and not pursue their dreams, and they become bitter and angry. So to avoid that, define your own. I gamify little weird things, like if I'm driving a road trip for 500 miles, I like see how long it takes me to get to the next 30-mile thing. I use Fitbit for the steps. All the stuff in life that I really don't want to do, I put into numbers and games in my head. It actually helps me get through a lot of the like lame part of life is through gaming. Marry your best friend, I think. And that's up there with like the top, achievements in my life is marrying my wife here, who again I said was my second client. So it's been a great run. And live somewhere you love. I lived in West Virginia. It was a great place to grow up, but I knew that I was destined to be somewhere else. For me, waking up in sunshine every day matters. No matter how bad the day is, if I wake up in a place I love, it's half the battle. Health is wealth. My dad had a triple bypass at 43. I was 4 years old. People thought he was going to die. They had like aunties coming in the waiting room at the Cleveland Clinic asking about who was going to take care of me, and it freaked me out. So my dad changed his lifestyle. He exercises all the time. I've inspired me to exercise. So I think, how can we all be successful when we're not even healthy from the get-go? And this is a big part of life. And then this is what I call the hot tub hurdle. So it's very simple. Whatever it is in your life that you haven't done or that you really want to do, but you're just a little bit worried about doing it, it's like a hot tub. Like, you kind of want to get in, you're like, I don't want to take a shower later, or like, it's going to be cold when I get out. But when you're in the hot tub, it's amazing. You're like, why am I not in the hot tub every day? Right? And that's life. There are things that we all have that present the hot tub hurdle. And I would just say, just get in. You're going to love it. And that's just something you have to get over. And then lastly, I say, hustle like a Desi and represent like a Yankee. Very simple thing for me. I am always going to live. I didn't even grow up in India. I grew up in Weirton. But I always thought of the Desi mentality in my life. And that can mean a lot of funny things and a lot of serious things. But it's hard work. It's love of family, love of commitment, love being brown, love seeing other people in my community and other communities that I can get behind and support. But it also means that we have to understand that we're not the outsiders anymore. I act and operate like I'm an insider. I'm an American. We're all Americans. So we need to, as a community, I think, just realize that we are just as much American as everybody else here. And we got to fight like Americans. We can't be happy just being visitors to this country. This is our country too. So, and that's it for me. And I'm looking forward to you all joining the stage one day. Thank you.